Hi, my name is Galen. I'm going to show you how to print and cut in Scal2 with your Cricut or Scal3 with a different cutter. You need to be careful or be mindful of your mat size and your printer margins and sizes when getting creative like this. So looking here at your mat and knowing that my printer takes 8.5 by 11, you need to keep your creativity within your 8.5 by 11 in this format for your printing only. Okay? Alright, so now we're going to select our text tool. Go to the right. I have the size at 1/2 inch. That's rather large for a greeting card, but this could be for a scrapbook design or a sign or a card or something, but I'm going to do it larger just so that you can see it and it will be a quicker process. And again, with your Scal, you can use any fonts that you want. So now that we have those selected, I'm going to go ahead and indicate I want to start here. Nowhere particular except for the fact that it's within my 8.5 by 11. And I'm going to type in, I hope Bob. Okay, now when we're doing greetings, it looks more pleasing to the eye to have either 2 or 3 lines of text. 4 is fine, but anything past that's too much. So that's our first line of text. Now you want to go to your selector tool, select your text, your type tool again, and do your second line. And we'll put feels better, better. Okay, and now we'll go back to our select tool on the left. And now we want to either grab this by the little 4 arrows here, or you can move your mouse down until it turns into a 4-way arrow. And let's center these together. Okay, that looks pretty good. Sometimes with these arrows it's difficult to see the whole proportion, so you can go back to your selector tool and click off of it. And I think that looks pretty good. Alright. So now we're going to go back and select this row. We want the color to be red. So it just defaulted to red, but what you would do is go to the right and select your color box there and select your color and OK. Now we'll go to the green text, left click, go to your right, change your color to red, left click, OK. And I know it still says green, but your fill box color indicates that it is red. So now we want to group these together. So you want to left click, hold down and drag over the entire thing, and that selects all of them. You'd like to go up to the object and to group. So now we can move the whole thing together. Alright, and let's do another text here. Go to your type tool, select your line, and we'll type Hope Tracy. Go to your second line, so you go to your select tool, back to your text, and go below, and we'll type Gets to Go. Go to your select tool, want to arrange this together, and we'll make, it's kind of funny, this one turned pink, so let's just color it a lighter pink. And select OK. Go back and select your Hope Tracy. Go to your color box and select the pink again. And OK. Now we know that they're both pink. You want to group these two together. Left click and drag. Object. Group. Okay. And let's just make a couple of these. Now we'll go to text tool. We'll do our next text down here. And let's change our font. How about that? I'm going to go over and change your font. And glass-eyed. I know. Let's do half and half. Let's do... No, we'll just do that one. Okay, and this one we'll put Hope. Oops, didn't touch it. There we go. Hope, Sparky. Go to your next line, so select tool, get your text tool, do your second line, finds his bone. How about that? Okay. So now we'll group them together. We'll do the Sparky line brown. Select OK. Get your Hope Sparky brown. And OK. And then we'll group this together. Object, group. And then now you want to leave some space for this to fit inside of your frame that we're going to do here later. Let's do one more. Do your text tool. I am so happy. Grab your text tool, go below that you said, and go back up, get your text tool again, and we'll do capitalize no. Alright, let's group these together, or put them a little bit closer together. Let's move this a little bit more. There we go. Come on, find it. Okay, I'll grab you there. Let's see. Alright, let's get the no. Alright, and let's just leave those separate colors for the heck of being able to see it. So now you can also left click and drag over it, and then if you hover over it and right click, you can select group here as well. Okay? Most of these are all like any other Windows kind of programs where you have 2 or 3 different ways to get to the same results. Okay, so now we're going to look at our paper. We have 8.5 by 11, and I am probably cutting it too close on this edge here. Our printer will probably chop that part off. So let's go ahead and just move this down here. We'll move this one over a little bit. You want to have a little bit more playing room to move things around. And once you do this a few times, you'll figure it out. So again, the top of our paper is 8.5 by 11, and we've got good clearance. Okay, all this stuff is the same, either Scal2 or 3. So let's go ahead and we'll send this to the printer. We'll do File, Print. Make sure you have your right printer, and select Print. And now that goes off to the printer, now we want to do our shape or our border or our SVG. Okay, so we want to select that. Now we can go up to our shape library and we can pick anything here from our tags and banners to basic shapes, circles, lips. I mean, any of this stuff we can cut out around those letters. But we can do that with scissors or some of our paper edgers. So we want to do something different that for the reason of why we have the Cricut. So let's go ahead and do an SVG. I have an SVG here. That's a beautiful kind of lacy flower frame. And let's go ahead and open it. Okay, so there's our SVG. Now if we look at it, I'm wondering if this center part is going to cut out, which it is, and I'll show you how we know that. This pink line here, let me show you the preview. Okay, so everything in reds is what's going to cut. So if we have our greeting in the center, that's going to be cut out in a separate piece. So we want to take this center part out so that our greeting can stay in there and not be cut out. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to go into, select this one, go into Object, and break apart. Okay? That takes all these bits and pieces and cuts all of them separately. So now we want to take out this center line. And to make sure that you have the right one and nothing else is connected to it, you can, on your keyboard, do your left arrow or your right arrow and just kind of wiggle it a little bit and go, yep, that's the one. And then select your delete button. Okay, so that's all one solid piece now that's going to house our greeting. So now we want to put all those pieces back together, because if we tried to move it right now, we would leave those other pieces here behind. Okay, and we want those pieces to cut out as well. So let's go back into Edit and undo that move that we just did. And now we want to left click and drag over it. And now we want to go back up to Object and Group back together. So now these are all a group and the whole thing moves together. So now we say, okay, we want this greeting and it's way too big for those little greetings. So let's go ahead and shrink it down a little bit, kind of get an idea of how that'll fit, and you can doodle inside and all different kind of stuff to use different pattern papers that you want to do this on. But remember, what we're cutting out is going to be our paper that we sent through the printer with these greetings. So I think that one will fit. Let's see if it'll fit this greeting. Yep, it'll fit that one okay. And it'll fit this one. And even that one. So it could even go down just a little bit more. So we have it selected. You can use the right little size button there. And that'll make it smaller. And that fits that one. I think this was our biggest one. And that one still says. Great. Okay, so now we want to go up to the top left area where the green plus is, and you want to add a page. And click OK. And then boom, everything's gone and you freak out. No, everything is still here on page 1. So now you want to select this frame. We want to cut it, and we want to paste it onto your second mat. Okay? All right. Now when we start putting this together, I want to explain things. This is the arrow here left that goes into your Cricut or your cutting machine if you're using a different cutter. And so we want to rotate this to make it easier. So what we want to do is we want to go and do our rotate button and flip it over. There we go. Now when you do this, you want to place this on the bottom portion of your mat. Now this is the 12 by 12 mat, but let's say you have the 12 by 6 mat, okay? You would put it here, all right? So you just want to have it in the bottom center part of your mat. And I have a 12 by 12, so I will put it here. Now you want to leave, an inch or two on the bottom, and you'll see why here in a little bit. That helps positioning for you. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and cut this out. Okay, so now we're getting ready to print, or to cut, sorry. So you have your plain piece of paper, and I've taped it with blue painter's tape on the bottom. And this is my, and this is my directional arrow here into my Cricut or cutting machine. And just have a light one. This is an old mat, it's not very sticky. Okay? I also, for a tip, I guess, I have placed a piece of cardboard underneath my Cricut, or any of your cutting machines. And that makes it slide on the countertop a lot easier. Okay, so you put your mat in up against the center guide here, like you normally do, and load your paper. Okay, and now you're going to go to your computer and tell it to cut out that frame that we had, and of course it's in the center. It should be cutting out in this area here, down at the bottom. Now I have an old blade and an old mat, so it might not cut completely properly. cutting out the little small bits there. And remember, we cut out the center circle part so that our sentiments can be left there. Okay, now my computer says that it's done. This is the most important part. You will do it once and you will mess up. And then after that, you'll remember. Okay? This is where you load paper again. You don't unload it. When you unload it and then have to put it back in, you'll be off a smidgen. Now, what we're doing today, it may not matter a smidgen, but if you're cutting out a design or something printed, a smidgen is a lot. So you want to press your load paper. Okay? So now you take off your tape here on the side. And you gently lift up what you just cut out. Okay? Do not remove it from the, let's see if I can show this a little bit better. Do not remove it from the blue tape. Now, I didn't check my blades or my pressure or anything. And of course, it did not cut out well. So we're going to have to kind of force it here. And I will have to adjust for those later. Well, this piece will not really matter how it looks because we're going to just use it as a template. But it would have been nice if it popped out better. Okay. And I sent the sentiment words part through on copy paper, so it should cut much better. Now you can use any paper. I just wasn't quick enough to change my paper to cardstock in my printer carriage. Okay, this is embarrassing, sorry. Alright, that is really actually okay. So, if you have to do this, just be gentle that you don't pull that out of the mat. So now we're going to go back to our sentiments that we made earlier, and we're going to put those inside. So what I like to do is kind of, and you can do it up to light. Show you here. Okay. You can shine it up to the light to get you an idea of where to cut your sentiments out. So I'm going to cut right along here. Now I did do this part on purpose, which you'll see here. Okay, so now we know that these words, I don't know if you can see that, will fit in our border frame positioning. Okay, so now I'm going to take this part and line it up here on your Cricut mat where you think it'll work. Now I have one of these little sticky doodobs here where it'll stick onto the paper where I want it to cut, and I think that looks good. So then what you want to do is you want to just burnish that piece of paper down there, flip, oops, flip this portion out of the way, I'm just going to use a little bit of tape again because my mat is not very sticky and I don't want this paper to move around. Okay, so that's in the way. So now I'm going to go back, changing no settings, nothing. Go back to the computer and tell my cutting machine to cut again. And let's see if this cuts better. Whoop. Now it's tearing because I don't have a sharp mat or a sharp blade. I apologize for not having a sharp blade so that this is actually a successful cut. Okay, again, load paper, not unload. Okay, so now our ugly cut is done. This is embarrassing. Okay, but you get my point. So now you have your nice sentiment inside of your fancy label. That's embarrassing. Here I'm doing this tutorial as if I know what I'm doing, and it looks horrible.